The title of this podcast is Selective Agency. The definition, or one of the definitions of agency, is the feeling of control over actions and their consequences. And especially in the Western countries, in particularly the United States, this whole idea of agency is one that the culture has been built upon. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You work hard enough, you can get there. If you're not being successful, you have only yourself to blame. So what I've learned is that in a lot of ways, I believe that, I adopted it, and I lived by it completely. And from going off to the military to going to school, going back to college and getting degrees, as well as working hard in the financial planning industry, being an entrepreneur in the well-being business. Yeah, there was some of that was all about like me working hard and believing that I had control over my situation and my level of success. Now, mind you, there was some part of it to where I acknowledge other people for giving me a hand and supporting me. But a lot of it was this idea that you can determine your own destiny and how you experience life. You're not at the effect of something else. What I found is that my agency or sense of agency was selective, very selective. So, and what that meant is that I only used it if I came out looking like the hero. And I judged others who, I know I don't know if that was conscious, but maybe some of it was, but I judged other people who weren't using their agency the same way. And this is certainly not something that a conscious, wise person does, but I did it anyway. And but when it comes down to it, I was really being selective because when I was stationed in Yuma, Arizona, during the Marine Corps in the 1990s, all of a sudden I wasn't using agency. I was upset that I was stationed, hundreds and hundreds of miles away from where I desired to be in Tennessee. And so I resisted the move there the whole time and had a poor attitude. All of a sudden, the whole sense of agency was not something that I adopted anymore or that applied to me. So, but if I had the sense of agency, I would have made the most of my experience in Yuma. I would have done things, seen parts of the country that I hadn't seen before. I would woke up with this idea and this attitude that every day is a complete gift. But that's not what I did. No, my agency was selective. It was how I had been wronged by the military, by the government, for not keeping their end of the bargain by putting me where I wanted to be. And I took this show on the road. If the stock market was down, I found someone to blame for that when I was doing financial planning. What happened to the agency there, of me that in the face of the market not continuing to go up, why was I having a bad day? Agency means I have control over my experiences, especially the ones internally. But no, I want to have control over the experiences or the situations that were occurring outside of me in the external world. And so all of a sudden, the stock market was to blame if I was having a bad day and if revenue or portfolios were going down. And I continue to take this show on the road. And it would be if somebody who got elected that I didn't vote for, all of a sudden, I couldn't have a good experience for the next 2 to 4 years in the country. So again, agency completely selective. If somebody was elected who I did vote for, then all of a sudden everything was okay. All the while missing that the reason I wasn't okay was because it was something that I was doing. And it's because my agency was conditional. It was very selective. People take it to work, and I certainly did. I complained before the practice. I complained often. And when I was younger, a lot. And I see people do that at work now. They're understaffed. They feel overworked. And all that may be true, but we all have the agency inside to have a completely different experience in the face of understaffing, in the face of increased workloads. We control that. We're the boss inside. We're the boss in here. And we get to dictate if we're using agency and doing so in a broad, unconditional way, we get to dictate that. You come into your house after a long day at work and people are playing video games or they're watching movies or somebody didn't say hello to you and ask you about your day and you feel like, upset about it. What happened to your agency there? You know, what happened to you controlling your attitude? And for me, I had this idea that I wasn't a morning person. So don't talk to me for the first 1 to 2 hours of the morning, until I really wake up. Or in some cases, until people have a cup of coffee. No, you're the boss in there. You know, you can say that I'm not adopting this narrative about being a morning person or not about being friendly. What are you giving your agency away to? And as I think about this more and more, what I found is the practice makes this whole idea of agency for me unconditional. I want to be kind no matter how other people show up. I'm going to try to raise every situation, regardless of how daunting and challenging it is. I'm going to try to raise it. I'm going to try to deal with it in a higher way. There's always a higher way to deal with situations. Always. You got to deal with them. Deal with them in the highest way. I'm going to employ agency in ways that I haven't done before because of the well-being practice. It helps me separate and to really, really understand that I'm not my mind. I am not my thoughts. I'm the observer of my mind, the observer of my thoughts. I'm the boss in here. And the agency that I'm deploying or trying to is to really be a contribution and serve the moment that is in front of me in the form of people and situations. So I encourage you to, if you have thoughts about how other people should, either stop depending on the government or they should make the most of their opportunities and privileges of living, especially in this country, or that they should stop complaining, ask yourself, are you doing the same thing? Are you applying your sense of agency in an unconditional way? Or are you at the effect of other people not showing up to work with the same work ethic that you think they should have, that are not being considered in the way that you think they should be considered? Are you dealing with challenges that are daunting in a way that doesn't deal with the situation in a better way, in the highest way? If you aren't, consider that your agency or the sense of it may be selective. And if that's the case, then give other people grace for deploying their sense of agency in the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on having unconditional agency, which the well-being practice helps me with. And I'm going to give others and myself grace when I stumble along the way.